Amen.
Amen.
Shalom Rabbi Shemai v'chayim tovim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
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 Dat maar in 8 to 10 minutes. Dat maar niet tomorrow morning was Chodesh, so we're going to daven at 7:15. 7:15 tomorrow morning is Shacharis. Tomorrow night again, Mincha is at 8 o'clock. We're learning last night, learning about the mitzvah tzedakah, and that's why there's no bracha. Just like all the Torah mitzvahs, there's always a bracha. You always make a bracha preceding, otherwise you wasn't preceding the bracha. By mitzvah tzedakah, you don't make a bracha. So we mentioned because because there's always another party involved in accomplishing, in fulfilling the mitzvah. You have to have the one who's in need to accept it, and even though seemingly he's all ready to accept it, at the last moment he might decide that he doesn't want to accept it. So Yitzchak then asked a very, very obvious question. There's other mitzvahs also. There's another mitzvah by a chuppah, a chasana. There's a chasana and the kala. She has to be. You have to have her to agree to become his lawfully wedded wife. So she might at last moment decide not to. So there's several reasons. There's a difference between the two. Number one, by a chuppah, there's a chazokah. Already before the chuppah itself, they made already Kabbalah's kinyan. They agreed both sides, the chassan side, the kala side, to go through with everything. Number two, there were tnoim, which are very stringent, the consequences are very serious if you don't go through with it. So there's a chazokah that she's going to go through it. And number three, it's nothing to be ashamed about. By somebody accepting help, Hashem at the last moment, it'll overcome him, his dignity, it'll overcome him, and he won't want to accept it. So there's a big difference between the two. Making a bracha by Yidden is something that's very ingrained in our fellow Jews. To make a bracha, it's like second nature. It's macha bracha. You tell about two philosophers who sat down, and they were reasoning. Says Yodar Bani Shlan, Nishtar Bani Shlan, there's an Almighty Father in heaven, isn't there? So with their rationales and the logic and the philosophy, they reasoned their Bani Shlan out of existence. There's no Nishtar Zamizach, there's no Bani Shlan. To celebrate their victory, they sat down with Leslie Bronson, and they wanted to drink l'chaim. So one of them, they filled their glasses, and one of them starts to drink. Jerome says, in just a minute. He says, make a bracha. He says, what kind of bracha? We just now reasoned that the Bani Shlam out of existence. So he says, what's that got to do with it? Yar Bani Shlam, Bani Shlam. On a bracha drink that goy. Ayidach drink that. That's the so mentioned here for also into Yitzchak Tzedakah also, the Gemara says that women more than men tav l'meis of ton dum and meis of amos. That women alone certainly do not look forward to living alone, even more than men. By them, that's something that's very, very something that they don't look forward to at all. So it's a big difference between a chasne and a romantic. There's the four characteristic categories we mentioned here are two of them are that he himself, hu yitain, he gives, he doesn't want others to give. So that's a category of tzedakah, of people giving tzedakah. And another category is he wants to give and he wants others to give also. That's also a category. But the other two, he says he wants others to give and he doesn't want to give. And not he wants to give and not he wants others to give. Aroshi. Why do we call them Abamidas, characteristics, types of nice tzedakah? That's not nice tzedakah, he's not giving. A Jew is something very special. The Gemara says, Yisrael Kedoshim Hem. A Yid has a special sanctity. Nitvaim B'Naishim. Even if in his basic industry, even though his first reaction, impulse would be not to give, but when you sit down with him, you can reach him, you can touch. He has a heart, he has feeling, he has compassion. Rachmanim b'nei Rachmanim. So even though his first impulse is not to give, but he can be brought around. So they tell about in Russia, there was one time a decree that struck at the very observance of Judaism, of being a Yid, at the heart of Yiddishkeit. And there was a famous philanthropist, Moshes Montefiore. So a Russian high official met Moshes Montefiore on the street, and he said to him, Sir Montefiore, I heard rumored that you're planning to pay a head tax to ransom each and every Russian Jew to free them from this decree. With money, with money you can do anything. He said, do you have, Sir Montefiore, do you have enough money to ransom each and every Jew? So he said, I'll tell you, sir, Your Honor. He said, if I have to give what I think a Jew is worth, he says, I'll never have that kind of money. But if I have to give what you think a Jew is worth, I can take it out of my pocket right now. There was a Yid, in conclusion, a very beautiful story, one of four. There was a Yid who had a reputation as never being home, never responding to whatever they came to him for tzedakah, this, that. He would never give. So when he left this world, and like the usual procedure is, here the Chevek Hadush, here will collect for all the years that he never participated. He never gave his document. So they asked the children, the Yorshim, for a very steep price above and beyond what a karki, what a plot costs. They were outraged. They were, and a quarrel ensued, a slugfest between the Chevek Hadisha and the children. They couldn't settle it, so he went to the Berditchev, the ladies of Berditchev. The ladies of Berditchev asked, who is one who passed away? So he told him who. He said, oh, he said, you'll take from them whatever they want to give, and not only that, I myself am going to Levi. They were dumbfounded. Here, they had the children in their hands, and this Berditchev shouldn't help them. You should let them get away with this. And when they heard that he's going to Levi, Berditchev Rob, a tremendous following, he had some farewell. My goodness. After Levi, the Chevek Hadisha couldn't wait to get hold of him. He said, Rabbi, what did you do to us? A man like that, what's the mitzvah? So he says, that man had 4 dinteres by me, the nifter. And he won all 4 of them. He says, and I'll tell you what the dinteres were. Someone who at one time was stable, financially comfortable, and he went into bankruptcy, he lost everything he had. He approached the nifter, one who passed away, he approached him. He said, Rabbi, maybe you would help me. He says, I have before me some sort of a deal, an investment that could bring me a handsome return, but I need some 10,000 ruble for 6 months. And so after 6 months, I'll give you back your 10,000 ruble. So he says, you're a man, you have no assets, no collateral, you're in bankruptcy. Who's going to guarantee it, that you repay the loan? So he says to him, to Rabbi Shalom, oh, he's my co-maker. Oh, he said, that's the best. He takes out the 10,000 ruble, and he gives him. 6 months later, he comes back, and he wants to repay the loan. So he says, the loan is repaid already. He said, what do you mean it's repaid already? He says, I didn't give it to you on you. You said, you're not somebody that financially can be, you can grant a loan like that. You don't have that kind of assets. I said, I gave it on your guarantee or your money for him. And he repaid me many times already. He said, what do you mean he repaid you? How did he repay you? When? He said, no, please don't embarrass me. I don't want tzedakah. I don't want a handout. I want here to tell a quarrel ensued. They couldn't settle it. They had to go to the Berditchev. Went to Berditchev, and the one who took the money alone told him, Rabbi, says, you know, I didn't ask for tzedakah. I said, I'm embarrassed. He said, I just wanted a loan. He gave me the loan. I told him for 6 months. I want to repay him. He doesn't want to want me to pay him. So Berditchev turns to the Malvet. He says to him, Rabbi, what do you have to say? He says, Rabbi, he says, I didn't give it to him on his own say-so. The man was worthless. He had no assets. I asked him, who's going to guarantee it? He said, Rabbi Shalom. So I gave it to him only under Rabbi Shalom's guarantee. And Rabbi Shalom Baruch Hashem repaid me with dividends many times over. So Rabbi Shalom said, there is recht. He says, he's right, he was repaid already. So he said, that's one of the dinner. He says, I wanted a dinner like that. He said, he deserves a nice Levi. Chanani ben Akashi Oimer. Ratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'zaki says, Yisrael, B'tikol Chibur L'Mpei Mitzvah Shlemar, Al Melech Chodesh Man Pirkei, Yad L'Torah V'Yad Yis.